I've thought very long and hard about this topic that I'm going to address in this episode, but I'm going to say it right about now. I think the Kansas City Chiefs are on their way to being the next NFL dynasty. I do believe that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be a dynasty within the next couple of seasons, okay? I have the Chiefs getting back to the Super Bowl this season. I recently did my Super Bowl prediction video, which you guys can check out, on my YouTube channel, as well as podcasting platforms. You guys can check that out. I did a whole breakdown of who's going to make the Super Bowl in Kansas City. They're in the Super Bowl this year in that prediction video, okay? But see, here's the thing, man. I think the Kansas City Chiefs have a great shot to be a dynasty, for one, because Patrick Mahomes is amazing. Patrick Mahomes is the best player in all of football, and I don't even think that we've seen the best version of Patrick Mahomes quite yet. Patrick Mahomes still has a lot that he needs to learn at the line of scrimmage, and I don't even think that we've seen the best season yet from Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is still kind of a baby. Patrick Mahomes still has a lot of things that he can learn as a quarterback. He can get better and better and better, and he's already pretty darn good and the best player in all of football. Imagine what Patrick Mahomes is going to look like at age 30 once he's seen all the NFL defenses, once he's had all the experience in the world, once he processes a lot faster. He's still going to be physically in his prime. That's a scary sight, man. Patrick Mahomes in his first season as a starter, 50 touchdown passes, won NFL MVP, was a game away from the Super Bowl. He follows that up by winning 3 straight games with his team down double-digit points, and he wins the Super Bowl versus the best defense in the entire NFL. He's the most talented player in the NFL at the quarterback position. He was the second youngest quarterback to win the Super Bowl in NFL history this past year, and I don't think Patrick Mahomes is slowing down. Also, a fun fact about Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes has had a lead with 1 minute left to go in the fourth quarter in every single playoff game that he has played in. Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs for his career has played very well. 4-1 record, 13 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and a 106 passer rating. Patrick Mahomes has shown that he can elevate under pressure. Unlike Lamar Jackson, okay? He's shown that he can elevate under pressure. There's some players that stay the same under pressure. There's some players that shrink under pressure. And there are some players that elevate under pressure. Patrick Mahomes, he elevates under pressure. And keep in mind, yes, Patrick Mahomes did sign a contract that was worth 10 years, $477 million. But keep in mind, Patrick Mahomes does not have a cap hit that hits $40 million for another 7 seasons, okay? Patrick Mahomes, when we look back on his contract, we're going to say this guy's been underpaid. Patrick Mahomes left money on the table for the Kansas City Chiefs organization to surround him with good players. And unlike the Green Bay Packers, who wasted away Aaron Rodgers' prime, Brett Veach and that organization, they get stuff done. Immediately when Patrick Mahomes lost in the AFC title game because his defense was doo-doo and couldn't get Tom Brady off the field, they fired the defensive coordinator, they made moves to improve that defense, and they turned that defense into a top 10 unit. The Kansas City Chiefs are aggressive. They make trades, they make moves. Unlike the Green Bay Packers, who are not a free agent destination, and they don't make enough aggressive moves to elevate their team and roster from year to year. The Kansas City Chiefs have Andy Reid locked up until the 2025 NFL season. Same with Brett Veach and same with Travis Kelce. Chris Jones, he's locked up until 2023. Tyreek Hill, he's on the team until 2022. Mecole Hardman, he's on his rookie contract. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, their new good running back out of LSU, he's on his rookie contract. Mitchell Schwartz is still a very good player in his prime. The Kansas City Chiefs this year returned all but 3 starters from their Super Bowl winning roster a year ago. And while Denver is getting better, I don't think Denver's ceiling as a team is as high as Kansas City's ceiling as a team. Okay, well, we have to see what Drew Lock is all about this year. And listen, the Raiders and the Chargers, until they find a quarterback, they're irrelevant to me, okay? So, let's evaluate Kansas City versus the rest of the AFC because, for the most part, over the next decade, they'll probably win that division around 6 to 7, maybe 8 times, okay? Because they're just better than Denver, they're better than Oakland, and they're better than the Chargers, okay? I like what Denver is doing, but for the most part, unless Drew Lock proves that he could be on Patrick Mahomes' level, he's going to be playing second fiddle to Patrick Mahomes in that division each season. So Kansas City, for the most part, each year, if they stay relatively healthy, they'll probably win their division 7 times out of 10. Okay? Let's look at the AFC as a whole. Lamar Jackson. I love Lamar Jackson. He's 19-3 as a starter for his career, but guess what? 2 of those 3 losses have come to Patrick Mahomes, boy. And we've seen Lamar Jackson in the playoffs. We've seen that act. I saw that circus act last year. Lamar Jackson, when he was down 16 points to the Tennessee Titans, I felt the game was probably over. When Patrick Mahomes was down 20-0 to Houston, I didn't think the game was over. I still felt Kansas City had a chance to win that game because I know what Patrick Mahomes is all about. Lamar Jackson has shrunk under pressure in the playoffs. Patrick Mahomes, he's gotten better. So until Lamar Jackson shows me that he can play at an MVP level, I'm not quite sure that Lamar and the Ravens will pull through in the AFC. Not to mention, Lamar Jackson, in a couple years, he will probably need to change his playing style just because he runs around so much. And he's a little bit more of an untraditional quarterback. He's very, very good, but a little untraditional. So we'll see. Deshaun Watson. Love Deshaun Watson. I think Deshaun Watson is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. He can be every bit as good as Patrick Mahomes one day, in my opinion, or at least challenge Patrick Mahomes for being the best quarterback in the NFL. But unfortunately, Deshaun Watson has an incompetent head coach and an incompetent organization when you compare what Patrick Mahomes has in Kansas City. So until Houston gets a better head coach, and until, from an organizational standpoint, they grow up, I can't pick them to come out of the AFC. The Patriots, I still think the Patriots are very good, but they're not quite as dynamic as they once were a couple years ago. Did you see the Patriots last year versus the Ravens? They didn't have close to the Ravens' speed. And over the past couple years, the Patriots have lacked explosiveness on the outside at wide receiver on offense. And Bill Belichick, he's kind of rigid. I do think that his system is a little bit outdated. And we'll see what New England looks like without Tom Brady. That's all I'm going to say about the Patriots. I love Cam Newton, but there's still a lot of questions about that team. Buffalo, until Josh Allen proves to me that he's more accurate, can't pick them to be over Kansas City each year. And Andrew Luck, a couple years ago, he retired. So Kansas City should be among the favorite each year to come out of the AFC, man. And dynasties occur more often than you think. In the 60s, we saw the Packers. They were a dynasty. In the 70s, we saw the Steelers. They were a dynasty. In the 80s, the 49ers, they were a dynasty. In the 90s, the Cowboys, they were a dynasty. The last 20 years, the Patriots, they've been a dynasty. And every now and then, you sprinkle in a couple of mini dynasties. The Dolphins won 2 Super Bowls in the 70s. The Giants won 2 Super Bowls in the 80s. The Broncos won back-to-back Super Bowls in the 90s. The Steelers a couple years ago were close in the Super Bowl versus the Green Bay Packers. Had they beaten Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, they probably would have become a dynasty. Seattle was close, and Pete Carroll didn't decide to throw the football on the 1-yard line. If Russell Wilson didn't throw that dumb interception, then they probably could be a dynasty. But they came up short. Even Eli Manning won 2 Super Bowls in a 10-year stretch with the New York Football Giants. So there's always a team knocking on the door, and I believe Kansas City kicks that door wide open, and I believe they're going to be a dynasty, okay? Now, what does a dynasty look like for Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs? If the Chiefs want to officially become a dynasty, they need to win at least 2 more Super Bowls with Patrick Mahomes. If Patrick Mahomes can continue to make deep playoff runs and win some playoff games, as well as get to a couple of Super Bowls and win 2 more, they're a dynasty, no question about it. And I do believe that if Kansas City gets to multiple Super Bowls, even if they only win about 1 of them, if they get to multiple Super Bowls and they make a lot of deep playoff runs in the process, they will at least be in the conversation to be a dynasty. So I think that that's how I feel about the Kansas City Chiefs overall. I believe they're going to be the next dynasty. I really do. I think that in a couple of years from now, we're going to look back and say this Kansas City Chiefs team was very, very good, led by Patrick Mahomes for many, many years. And if Patrick Mahomes wins a couple more Super Bowls before he retires and continues to stay healthy and win MVPs and put up numbers, we're going to say this guy is one of the 3 greatest quarterbacks of all time, and he might be able to challenge Tom Brady for being the greatest quarterback in NFL history at some point down the road in his career. The Kansas City Chiefs, in my opinion, are the next NFL dynasty, led by Patrick Mahomes, the best player in all football as of right now in 2020, and probably going forward for the next decade or so. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Please also note that the Juiciest Sports Podcast is not just a YouTube channel. It is available on all podcasting platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this content with all your friends. This podcast is my favorite thing in the entire world right now. It is my passion. And I want more people to listen to this podcast. I really want this podcast to grow. Also, a fun fact about me is that I want to go into the sports broadcasting and media world once I graduate from the University of Toledo, a college in Northern Ohio. I am looking to become one of the next great sports broadcasters and analysts out in the world. And I potentially would like to start my own network if this podcast really truly grows. Or if I fall short of that goal, I would love to work for a big time network like ESPN or Fox Sports 1. I am open to all networks. So if you believe in my dreams and you see or hear my passion through the screen, be sure to tell all your friends about the Juiciest Sports Podcast. Stay motivated, you guys. Have a God bless day, and I'm out.